you so much for tuning in to Off the Roll Podcast, episode number 3, Unveiling S-TEC's History. Today I have with me John and Benjamin. Both of these gentlemen are on the executive team here with me at STEK USA and have quite a bit of history that we wanted to dive into a little bit further. And that goes back maybe further than other people know. So as we just get going here, we really just want to kind of raise that awareness of kind of our history, our background, and how that makes a difference in the business that we have today. So before getting to where we're at right now, let's start by just asking, how did you two get into this industry? Did you start with S-TEC or do you come with some experience?
Oh, we kind of came, it was John's idea. So years ago, I worked for John at a car dealership, an exotic car dealership, and then detailing. John was running the detail shop, and I ended up actually going off to college. And we had an idea of opening a detail shop together before I went to college, but the shop we were actually going to rent, someone else rented and opened a detail shop, right? So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go to college, and ended up going to college. And when I came back, I don't know, we were just drinking some beers or something, and you were like, hey, you still want to do that shop? And I was pre-dental and decided not to go that route, so used my hands on something else.
Awesome. And John, how did you get into the detailing side? It sounds like you approached Benjamin kind of initially. You were already with that
Sure.
dealership. How did you get your foot in the door?
Well, so cars have always been a big passion of mine. And my first job was at a gas station. I ended up moving to a Ford dealership and then an exotic car dealership. And I really got hooked on exotic cars, Porsches, things like that. And this gave me the opportunity to actually work on these cars. And I loved it. And I had a big passion for detailing cars and doing paint correction and doing proper detailing, which was not that common in our area.
In high school, you had a
90s.
77 911.
That's right. So, in fact, the way I got the job at that dealership was I was 18 years old, had 2 weeks left in high school, and I walked into the dealer and I financed a 1977 911. And so the owner of the dealership was so impressed that I was 18 years old and able to go buy a Porsche from him. Mm-hmm. And he said, you need to work here. And that's how I ended up getting the job at the exotic car dealer, which is Park Place Limited here in Bellevue. So
Awesome. Yeah, if you guys are in the greater Northwest, you're probably familiar with Park Place, but that's awesome. And for those, to add some context for those listeners, what year did you graduate college and come together, leaving maybe the dealership at that time?
So I was working at Carter Motors.
Well, there's history that we met when we were 8 years old. There was this giant new guy at our school, and he started pushing us on the tire swing. I was like, I like this guy. So we started years ago. Yeah. We started years ago before. So that's kind of even predecessor to the detail shop, was asking if I wanted to start a detail shop. Wasn't just like a random person. We kind of had some growing up, right?
School friends.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome. And so what year was it then that you left college?
It was 06.
So we started the shop in 06, and I think that's when we actually opened.
Yeah.
So we opened in February 06, but 05 is when we kind of got the ball rolling.
I think we opened in June of 06. In February, we started building
February,
the
we
shop.
got the lease.
Yeah,
Right.
and we were like, okay.
Yeah, so February 06, we got the lease. In June 06, we actually opened the doors to our first customers. So.
And a couple of months into it, I quit my bartending job because I was driving home and I almost crashed. And was like, I got to just work at the shop now.
Yeah.
So working full-time both places.
Yeah, full-time both places was brutal. So, but that's what you got to do to succeed. You just got to go to work.
Absolutely. That's an important first step to show up. So as you guys started your detailing business, this is back in about 2006, what was that clientele like for you guys? Were you already working on the exotics, 911s, cars that you really enjoyed?
I mean,
not really. We that's a tough one because we started without a website, and we were on Highway 99, and I would literally walk from dealer to dealer to try to get dealership work.
I totally wasn't there when he was doing this, guys. I went fishing or something. I remember that. You called me once. You're like, I got a job.
But it was kind of, not the same level of professionalism that it was, a year or two later when we had employees and things like that. But we were...
I don't know if I agree with that. You always had at that time it was a red cap shirt tucked in. One side was gray, one side was blue. And you walked up and down. I'd say that we were more professional than anyone. And in the shop, we may have had the potluck car dealership, $100 details, like just Cheerios and stuff to survive. But no, John always brought in something. Like the second week, we had a Ferrari, Halada's Ferrari in there.
Yeah.
Right? There was always something coming in that made our shop, no matter, I swear, 2 weeks into it, Dean from the paint shop next door from Westco was coming in all the time. How do you get these cars in here? Yeah.
We our business did kind of catapult, I guess, especially after we landed that
with no social media.
Yeah, there was no social media, but we did land an account with the Mercedes of Linwood, which is a wonderful, wonderful dealership, family-run dealer, family-owned, and that kind of getting our foot in the door there kind of opened up to a lot of their clientele. So we worked on a lot of Mercedes, a lot of them, and the owner John Halada and his son Stefan, they're very particular about how they want everything done. So they really appreciated the work that we were doing for them, and I think the referrals started to reciprocate.
Absolutely.
100% because of that dealership, we were able to see what others didn't, whether it was detailing or clear bra. So I came from the background of dentistry. When I was 15 years old, I was learning crown and bridge from my dad, and then I went to school. And so I was always working in an area this big. That's what I saw, right? Mm-hmm. And then John Halada, he saw only this area, but the size of an entire car. So every spot. And one time he calls us up, and there's just a lint on the back dash. He's like, I just wanted to show you that you guys missed this. And he grabs it and blows it outside. And I'm like, can you believe this, John? We just have to stop what we're doing to see this. But it made us realize we can't miss anything in our shop because we were always saying that we were a step ahead of everyone else. Well, that lint wasn't ahead of everyone else. So that was a turning point for me where I'm like, I can't miss anything.
I like it.
At all.
I like it. And I imagine, especially as you guys build those early relationships, that's really fundamental for setting the groundwork for how you guys are going to operate moving forward. What kind of clientele do we want to work with? How are we going to treat these clients? And it sounds like you both have the demeanor and ability to approach this from a professional standpoint, where we're going to treat these car owners with respect, and in exchange, want them to respect the work that we're doing for them.
Yeah.
So,
but I'll say that when we first started, we actually had no ambition of doing PPF.
Yeah.
So we're strictly a detail company, and there was a demand, and the Mercedes dealer was asking us to start doing PPF. So before that, we had just thought of ourselves the end goal was to do luxury car detailing, work on high-end vehicles. But as your business matures and you need more revenue, you're going to make a lot more money doing PPF. It's a lot easier on the body. And I think you have, you're going to create more revenue in the amount of time that you spend. So we started PPF.
Did you guys know that PPF existed before the dealership approached you, just as an automotive enthusiast? Did you have any awareness of it in the space?
I knew it existed.
Idea.
Yeah, so when I was at Park Place, we would send cars off to get PPF. And back then, there would be a strip on a hood that's probably 6 inches.
So much harder to put on than a full hood. So much harder to put on. Yeah, you got to start in the middle if there's a badge on the Mercedes and work your way out. That was brutal too.
It's funny, the owner of the dealer, Park Place, Dave Bingham, had a 993 Turbo S. That car, it's $600,000, $800,000 now, and he had this beautiful car, and it had a
cobalt blue.
It had a 6-inch strip of old PPF on the hood, I think, until the day he sold it.
Oh, yeah.
It's all orange peely and turned yellow.
Yeah, but
and,
you couldn't take it off because the paint could peel.
yeah.
Be careful. So, obviously you guys now are here with S-TEC, but it's good for our audiences to know that you come from this detailing background and actually from a very humble background where it wasn't handed to you. You guys had to work to build that base, the clientele. Film, it seems like is something you guys had to train and educate yourselves on.
Well, I remember the first PPF job we did that was not for a dealership, that was a full front. You said, hey, Benjamin, there's this guy, his name's Derek. I remember his name. I don't remember his last name. It was like written on the bottom of our handwritten calendar forever. It was a Derek, 993. It was silver. And he's like, you think you can wrap this full front end on this, like this shop does in California, Premier? Remember that? And I'm like, yeah, I think I can do that. He's like, have you done it before? I'm like, no, I totally haven't, but I can do it. And he was totally skeptical about me doing it. And he didn't let me do it. I didn't do his car. But John found someone else. His name was Anthony. And he was friends with Andrew from Andrew's Auto Glass. Remember that? Mm-hmm. And we did his full front end. And it was a new car. It was a 997 full front. I told him, I learned from the previous guy. I was like, oh, yeah, dude, I do these all the time. Mm-hmm. Never done one. Mm-hmm. Never done one.
Fake it till you make it. But obviously you
No,
delivered.
it was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I bet you it's still on there if the car is around.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I remember that car.
So how long did it take? So 2006, you guys opened your doors. How soon then were you guys offering film?
2007.
Yeah.
Okay, so almost right away.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, right away.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was fall, October.
Yep.
So June, October. It's like just instantly asked for.
Cool. And if you guys tuned into our last training podcast, you know that Benjamin was then really the guinea pig, if you will, to jump on the film, to be the one to become the expert. What was that transition like for you? Was there training at that time? How long, again, until you're kind of seeing this regular in the retail level?
There was no training in our area. We got trained in the East Coast. We were working with Venture Tape in the beginning for Venture Shield, and we flew there, and we had an awesome class with some people, but it was just a good class with people. We didn't learn much. We learned how to plot, and we learned how to mix some solutions. But we definitely, when John and I got back, it was an eye-opener that we had no idea what we were doing. We had jobs lined out. We did what I tell people don't do, right? We literally had jobs lined out. Vertibrook GL, so it must have been 2007 GL. Vertibrook is the color. It's like a metallic.
I remember this car.
Yeah, how could you not, right? We did the bumper 3 times, 13 hours. In a plotted pattern, it has this cutout for the windshield washer squirter. And you just like, it was brutal. There was these fingers, and it was rough. Mm-hmm. It was rough. And that's just, no, it wasn't expected. And growing was difficult. There was no teachers. So we came out of class. I was totally self-taught. It was all by mistake. Everything that came back, I had to fix. Mm-hmm. Everything that came back, John dealt with the customer. We were both dealing with customers at that time, but I always had wet hands working with the film, so I couldn't stop. Mm-hmm. So John ended up dealing with the customers. Yeah, it was a rough learning, but it has made me a better installer than most people that don't make the mistakes because someone is able to walk them through it. So the only way to learn is with experience. And if people walk you through something and you don't struggle and you don't know how to do it, if you can't explain to someone how you fixed the issue, you don't know it. So when someone tells you how to solve this installation problem and then it arises again on a different car, you don't really know. You need help again because you didn't learn it. So my struggles made me a better installer, but it was difficult and there wasn't very much help. And when we went to SEMA, it was like a really cool time because there wasn't social media and forums to talk to people. So like I got to meet other installers that knew what they were doing, and that was really cool. Because at home, locally, no one did what we were doing. We were the only shop doing that in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. And for those of you that are tapped in the industry, you probably know that Metropolitan Detail comes with quite a large name and really, really excellent reputation nowadays as well. But can you guys talk a little bit about that process and transition? So over the next, 10, 15 years that it's been since you guys opened the doors there, what did that take in terms of scaling, hiring employees, and how did you become, I believe, one of, the more popular PPF shops in the area?
Good question. Hiring people is definitely been it's the most difficult thing, and we have always done all of our training 100%. So we have never hired people that have been highly experienced. We would hire someone based on good character, and we would put them through a lot of training. And PPF training isn't overnight. It's a spending a year with Benjamin.
That's really brutal too.
Yeah.
Well,
but makes some good.
It does make for some good installers, man. There's some people that have left Metropolitan and they have their business, and I'm proud of them. They worked for a long time with us, and now they're working for themselves. So good on them, right? Like they have a skill. Mm-hmm. And there's not many that have the skills that you learn working with me for a year.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. And so getting back to S-TEC, which of course is the main topic here, how did that conversation start? Did you guys know about S-TEC 10 years ago? How did you first stumble across the film?
I'll tell you how I found it.
Found it.
So on page 27 of Google, I found S-TEC as...
But it's at the bottom.
Yeah, at the bottom of page 27 as a windshield protection film manufacturer. So we were looking for a new, better windshield protection film, and we found them, and we corresponded with them over email in Korea, and we did buy some film from them, and with that film came some samples of Dyno Shield. So that was their...
Which ended up where?
Leaned up against the wall for months.
Behind my door. Like it literally was hidden because my door never closed to the office.
Yeah. So we had a good relationship with the company we're working with, and so we never really gave it a shot.
Didn't have a need to try something else?
Actually, regularly, John asked me, hey, did you try that Korean film? The guys always asking me. I'm like, no, man, I didn't. Again, how did you try that Korean film? It hasn't even crossed my mind. So it just sat there, just like all samples just sit there unless there's a reason to try it, right? So one time we were working on a car, a wonderful client of ours, on a McLaren, I'm going to butcher it, but was it
570S?
Yeah, great. Very technical install, and I bulk everything when I install. So except maybe a bumper or somewhere you'd have a crazy vent. But I couldn't get a quarter panel to stick, which I still think about regularly. Like, I wonder why that didn't work so much. But it ended up being that this company was having an issue with their material. So I was just frustrated because I could get the stretch, but it wouldn't stay. And we had all these surface issues with this film, and it was regular. We were just having trouble. So we were spending more time sending film back for a little bit than we were installing, right? Mm-hmm. So John came in with his smart-ass smirk. Some of you will know if you know John, and he's like, "You try that Korean film?" And I was like, "No, I haven't." And I kind of walked past him, grabbed the film from behind the door, laid it out, and to my surprise, it was packaged very well, and there was no damage to it. Like, it had been sitting there for months. So I laid it out on the table, I wiped it, I looked at it, and I tried to put it on. And it was literally like, I was lucky, it was 30 inches by 5 feet, and I needed 4 feet or something. So, and it stuck, and it was so nice to work with. So we ordered some, and we started playing with it. And it worked really, really well. It was beautiful to stretch. It took some finesse to make it stay where it needed to. And we worked through like 5 generations of adhesive, and it was awesome. So we helped develop the adhesive of the current Dyno Shield. And that's what makes this film, or makes S-TEC USA so much different than any other company is that we're touching these products, we're installing these products, we're able to actually feed back, not through the grapevine, but sitting in a meeting with the engineers, the developers, hey, this needs to change, this needs to change. And I can show them. So John and I went to Korea and we showed them some stuff in a parking lot, and it was sweaty hot in that garage. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
And that separates these materials, because it's literally from the installer for the installer. And we joked about that when we were in Korea years ago. This is the real deal now, because they have someone that can actually give feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've seen multiple cases where that's invaluable in terms of just the level of service that we can offer our installer network. But as we have new products coming to market, we always get your hands on them first. We make sure that for quality purposes across the board, with you on our team and having that in-industry installer experience is priceless. You can't really replace that. Again, you can't replace experience with anything other than experience and time. So,
and we've been on both sides of it.
But remember, the outcome of that spiel was it went down. It was beautiful. It was like crystal clear. And we both looked at it like, this is clear, brah. It was on, I want to say it's fire black, the McLaren. What's that color called?
I think so.
Yeah.
Like that.
And it's got red sparkles in it. And the rest of the car was with a different film, and it didn't have that
Pop.
rich pop, because it had like a haze to it. And that was just cool, man. That we just stood there for a while. We started ordering the film, and we changed these adhesives. And
Well, I'll tell you what was a turning point too. So one of our great clients has a GT3 RS lava orange, and we'd wrapped quarter panels in dyno shield.
that.
And that car came back to us like after a track day, after its first track day. So we'd fully wrapped it. They went to the track, came back for a cleanup. And the car's sitting in our shop, and it's got rubber all over it, from being at the track.
like this lady rallies the shit out of her cars.
yeah.
And I remember we touched the like a piece of rubber that was on the film, and it literally moved on the film. Like it did. It wasn't stuck to it was there, but it had a shape, and you could literally just move that shape down the film, like without using a solvent or anything. We're like, oh my gosh, we've never seen anything like this. And so we knew like there's something very special.
Like we used to put pieces of clear bra over clear bra for our clients that went to the track as sacrificial pieces, because you do like a $3,000 quarter panel, and then they go to the track and you got to redo it for them.
Yeah.
So
Instead of the peel away. So, one, by the looks on the McLaren originally, and then the feedback after track cleanup, you guys are starting to realize that, this is a little bit different than what we have right now, and maybe this is valuable for us. And so, Benjamin was saying the guys at HQ were constantly pestering you, checking in. Hey, have you tried that sample? What was their end goal? I guess, how did that conversation even start about distribution?
We started the conversation with them about distribution. So when we knew that there was a very unique and special product, we contacted our contact in Korea and said, hey, you know what? We would love to become your distributor because we have something very special here.
there was like a roadblock in it though, because you would order 9 rolls or something like that at a time, right? 3 of each size that we needed, and it would take a minute to get. Like when I say a minute, I mean actually a long time.
Yeah.
Like 60 days. So we one time couldn't get the film that we wanted for a job, and went back to another film. And I was like, man, we got to figure something out. So we started ordering more film. And then we started talking about, what if we just help sell this film? Because we'd already been helping develop it, right? So that's how the conversation started, was between you and me, like, we need to get this film more in our hands.
And we also, like I was saying before, we've been on the other side of this. Like we've been the film buyer. So, we look at what's the unique opportunity here. It's like, one, we have a great product, but if we were going to distribute it, how are we going to do it in a way that's better, that's more helpful to our customers so they can get more business? And I think so far we've been pretty successful at it.
Yeah, Absolutely. I think maybe that idea lit a fire under your guys' butt or something, but obviously you're then pretty aggressive about going and trying to earn that distributorship. And I know they were in conversation with multiple people. And to get us back on the timeline, this is probably about 2015, maybe 2014 that you guys are starting to play with it. Conversations progress in 2015 here. So what did you guys do to earn that distributorship? Was there anything particular where you're like, give it to us, we want it, we deserve it?
Well,
we had to sell it first.
We had to sell it first, but we traveled to Korea.
But before that, even we had to prove to ourselves, because we started talking to him about it, and then we had to prove to ourselves we could sell it. So we made the commitment after doing a black Tesla.
That's right.
To sell it.
Yep.
And if we were able to sell it, then
to our clients,
then we would do that. So we were able to sell it. And then John asked about a distributorship, and they told him they're already talking to people.
11 other people.
Yeah. So that's when we started thinking fast.
So there were, they had sent out samples of their materials to several of the high-end installers around the country because they wanted to go that approach to find a distributor. And we told them that we want to become distributor of their product, and they said, "Oh, well, that's great. In 2 weeks, SEMA, and we're going to make our decision then who our distributor is going to be." And what did we do, Benjamin?
We went to Korea.
Yeah.
Before SEMA, because everyone was waiting to talk to him.
So you were like, cut out the wait and jump on a flight.
We went and talked to him, and they're like, "Yeah, we're 13 hours away," and we're like, "There's airplanes."
Yeah.
Impressive.
And I think from a manufacturing standpoint, they have a great understanding of that with the film. But like the technical knowledge that Benjamin brought, particularly for the installation and everything, kind of sealed the deal. That they realized that they know more than we do in terms of manufacturing, but we know more than they do in terms of installation and getting this product on the car
or selling it.
Yeah.
Or selling it.
The automotive space.
Yeah.
Especially in this United States.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I mean selling it. Because they tried to sell the film in the United States and flopped. So John taught people in the company how to sell the film.
Yeah.
Because you have to be able to sell the film. And they couldn't sell it. It tried to launch. It didn't succeed.
Yep. And they tried with several different products. So they had, they were shipping film across from Korea, DHL or whatever, but they had like all these different products that were different, basically clear PPFs, and ranging from very cheap product all the way up to Dino Shield. So there's people who tried it and say, "Oh, this isn't good," and then they get Dino Shield in their hands, like, "Oh my, that's amazing."
So S-TEC paint protection film is manufactured by S-TEC Automotive, and they've been making film since the 70s. Right? That's what the company does. Is they are a lamination company. Nothing's ever been self-labeled. So now we have a self-labeled film, S-TEC.
And what's really exciting, in probably July, August of this year, they have a state-of-the-art, brand new manufacturing plant that's going to open.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And as we've grown, here in the United States, S-TEC as a global company has also been growing. The only country to see growth is not just the U.S. We have, I think, over 87 other distributors around the world that are also supporting S-TEC, helping see that growth, which is super exciting. And I am sure that the company it was 5 years ago is much different than where it stands today. And that's give them opportunities to get into new facilities. And I myself have seen some of our growth and transition where we've had to move. And I'm curious if you guys can speak towards a little bit, where did we start and what was kind of the biggest push in terms of founding S-TEC, getting off the ground running? And to your point, like sales are important. So what did you guys do to help bring those sales in?
Well, sure. So we have an amazing member of our team, Howard Goldberg, and we knew that he was the guy that we wanted to hire right off the bat. So Howard joined our team as we were starting our distribution. So before we even had film landed in the United States, he had started with us, and he was working on a plastic table under a stairway at Metropolitan Detail.
And we'd have to move him out of the way because we needed to use the plotter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he
But we chose Howard because, so we'd known him for many years. He's a good friend of mine from before we even opened Metropolitan Detail. So he saw a guy go to school, come back from school, open a shop with a friend, gain a distributorship. And he's like, well, these guys did it once, have a really reliable shop. I bet they can do it again, is what I'm thinking. I never really asked him why he jumped ship there, but totally left a job with full benefits and stock options, and started working under our stairs, where we actually set like a piece of drywall along the bottom of the stairs, so as people went up, stuff didn't fall on his head.
Humble beginnings.
Yes,
Very humble beginnings. And going back to how we hired at Metropolitan Detail, we hired for the quality of people, right? So I think every person that we've hired here at S-TEC is because the quality of the people, not because necessarily they have a skill set in sales. And, we're not looking for pushy salespeople to move our film, right? We want to help people grow their businesses. And so we want people who communicate well and can be reliable and help our customers grow their businesses. And so Howard is just, he was that perfect fit. So he basically started S-TEC.
So he comes from a background of managing teams at a large grocery store chain called Whole Foods. And Howard was the team leader of team leaders. And him and my buddy Ruben were just so dialed in organization and the large corporate world that John and I were just like, we got to have Howard help us with this. Because it went everything from starting the company, where we decided who we're buying tape from, who we're buying boxes from. So Howard is operations. All credit. All you guys get your candy and stuff like that because Howard makes sure everybody knows it goes in the box, okay? These sorts of things are all Howard. He does everything. He's driving the sales team now. He's in charge of the warehouse people. Howard is the behind the scenes. And that comes from his growth in other companies and knowing what people need as far as the employees. So he manages better than I could ever do the entire staff.
Yeah. Howard Goldberg has been a fundamental player on our team, and he likes to kind of hide in the shadows.
Yeah, he's like the guy on Home Improvement that you only see this one.
But, without him, things would not operate here as smoothly or as effectively as they do. Absolutely. And to give our listeners a little background, when I first started, which was about, January of 2018, Howard had just had his first full year under his belt. He was my go-to for literally everything. Any questions I had, a more technical standpoint, I might go to Benjamin. More sales kind of driven, I might go to John for feedback. But Howard really was the one that coached me, got me up to speed with all things S-TEC, the structure we currently had in place, and kept me on track in terms of building those client relationships initially too. So absolutely, S-TEC would not be the company it is today without Howard. So,
but there was someone before you.
There was
Mr. Gordon Lewandowski. So he came in, was a client of Metropolitan Detail. Mm-hmm. Like, there was a couple of, we'll call them groupies, that would just come by to shoot the breeze, have a cup of coffee. We had a coffee maker, right? And it was always it was fresh coffee. They make their own cup and would hang out. And he loved what we were doing with the company. And we didn't have, Howard may not have even been, it was Howard. He was there from the beginning. But he came in to help Howard. That's what Gordon did before he retired. He was setting up companies, startup companies. So he even helped set the brickwork for you to start with sales, right? Mm-hmm. He took the first nose in the thousands.
Yeah. He made a lot of phone calls.
A lot of phone calls. You ever heard of S-TEC? No. What was his line? This is
the best paint protection film you've never heard of.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or the biggest, something like that.
Yeah.
That was good. And so obviously over the last 5 years, I think the other influential part of us being able to gain traction was the fact that you guys are the owners of Metropolitan Detail. And Metropolitan has gain a reputation, influence in the industry. And so we have your peers that are watching you and looking at what you guys do, and in some instances trying to model that. And so I think that helped with a lot of the traction behind S-TEC as far as, these people that we can trust are using it, and obviously shows that you stand behind the product you guys are selling. And I think the other reality of it is what you guys found, is the product just is fundamentally that good that it can make these shop owners' lives a little bit better, maybe even easier. I don't want to say that, but allows them to provide more value. It can make it
enjoyable. It's different.
More enjoyable, and provide more value to their customers, which I think is priceless. So throughout this process, from opening your first detail shop, finishing school, to now being S-TEC and having a good presence in the industry, what has been some of the most challenging and some of the most rewarding parts about opening the S-TEC distribution?
Scaling has been definitely challenging. So, we started with a pallet of film to start, and now we have a warehouse with probably 100 pallets of film, right? So we started working under this desk. We moved to a slightly bigger warehouse, and then a bigger warehouse.
Moved into our tire storage facility. So Metropolitan Detail stored tires for customers, and we had a suite in an industrial park where we stored tires and bring them to the dealership and shuffle them back and forth, and we slid some tires out of the way and gave you an office and Howard a small warehouse. So we rented from ourselves by not charging rent.
Yep.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. And there was a couple big moves from that too. We've now warehouse number 4 or 5, and it's quite a bit bigger.
Four. Yep. Yeah. So our third warehouse was more than double the size of the previous, and we introduced training at that point. And then now we're in our fourth warehouse, and we have over 17,000 square feet, and we have film stacked on pallets all the way up to the roof. So
yeah, and also a little bit more backstory. Now we have a marketing team in-house, which is a brand new thing for this year, and that's been exciting to grow. We keep growing out of office space, and that's kind of what brought us to move over here. As sales staff was growing, we wanted to start new teams. We need more storage for more film, and so it's been a very I want to say organic but exciting growth to see that.
This one piece of this puzzle that we haven't spoken about is your introduction. So Michael worked for us at Metropolitan Detail during the summer when going to school.
What year was that? That must have been 12 or 11?
No, it was
it had to be like 15.
It was like 15.
No, because 14 school's 4 years.
14 or 15.
We started in 16.
No, but he was a junior or senior.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I got out a little bit early.
Copy that.
Yeah.
But
anyway, getting out of college early.
Yeah. Met these fine gentlemen washing cars in their prep. I didn't meet them washing cars. They hired me to wash cars and taught me how to do that.
Best prepper ever.
It was the best summer job.
Yeah.
Best prepper ever, though. Kept his head down, never missed a beat, and it was an outdoor wash bay. His back of his black polo shirt was bleached pink by the end of the summer. Remember that?
Yeah.
Did you keep the shirt?
I don't think I did. wasn't in good anymore, but all that UV damage had gotten to the shirt.
And you wouldn't have guessed that would turn into a career for you.
Yeah, absolutely not.
No, he came just for the summer.
I know.
And at the end of summer, left, and we said, when you're done with college, look us up. We might have a job for you. And he's like, I'm a detail. And we're like, well, it might not be detailing.
Yeah. It's pretty perfect timing. How it all worked out. And again, when I graduated 17, you guys had just really gotten the first year under your belt, and it was a great time for me to jump in.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And Michael really understands the customer service skills that we were looking for, because we wanted to set ourselves apart, not just in the materials that we're offering, but also in our customer service. And I think Michael has had a key role in keeping that quality standard very high for our customer service and scaling that to our other staff so that they can deliver the same quality service.
So when did you start here, 18?
Yeah, January 18.
So it took 4 years for you to actually get to the position which you were hoping to have, which was marketing, right?
Yeah. I mean, technically, I did go to school for marketing. Never saw myself as a salesperson, if you will.
But you built a hell of a sales team too.
Had a great time doing it.
Yeah, solid.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously scaling is challenging. What has been maybe the most rewarding part of getting into distribution?
I love seeing businesses grow. It's one of my favorite things is when someone comes to our training class or they switch to our film and they tell us these stories that, I never imagined that my business would do so well. My family's doing well. My employees are doing well because we're making more money. And S-TEC, we offer a lot more options. We don't just have clear and matte film. We have carbon fiber, and we have different colors and patterns and all these things. So there's all these opportunities for our clients to make money. We have amazing window tint, and these are all opportunities that can create a lot of value for these shops and businesses where they can make more money, and that feels great.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
The most rewarding is that's what the actual question was. So it's a difficult one to answer, but at this point, it's totally different than I would have answered it a year or two ago. Now it would be helping the new installers with their craft, right? Because there isn't a lot of people that can just grab the phone and walk someone through it. And there's a lot of us in the industry, but people don't have time to do it. They're still installing daily, right? So the biggest reward for me is being able to have an amazing team at Metropolitan Detail to continue the business and the legacy which we've built there, because that was originally the passion. Now I have the time to support S-TEC, and that's the most rewarding, because I can reward everybody with the experience that I've gained over the years of having a detail shop, which everyone looks up to and values. So we're able to spread that into the family.
Awesome. That's great. And I think where that gets at too is ultimately you're helping people, and you're making their life a little bit easier, their next job a little bit more likely to be successful. And that's also been the most rewarding thing for myself, is seeing these small business owners grow and have personal growth, have professional growth, have, as you were saying, family, be more comfortable, more time for family. These are all big aspirations and goals that we have, and S-TEC's, I think, created those opportunities for a lot of folks to get there.
Yeah,
So
the
that's
training
really cool.
videos we're making, I'm really enjoying. I look forward to seeing those. People are really going to dig this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love to watch the industry growing as well. So it's great to see, there's not just S-TEC. There's lots of other PPF companies, and I love for them to grow as well, because that means the whole industry is growing. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot to look forward to. We've seen excellent growth here throughout the industry, but if you guys had to say one thing in particular that you're excited for with S-TEC, what would that be?
I'm going to say my online or
The training series.
The training series that, I'm having fun doing that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Excited to see more of it. And John, how about yourself?
new products. We're constantly developing new innovative products and changing the game. Very exciting.
Absolutely. And I'm excited just to start touching in the lives of more and more of each of you. I think with the different podcasts, the other content and marketing that we're going to continue to create should hopefully be entertaining and keep you guys engaged. If there's anything else that you want us to cover on a future episode, absolutely please let us know. But that is it for episode 3, Unveiling S-TEC's History.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
a great day.